What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Hey, what's happening? Hey, you listening to Eyes on Smash Bros Radio, the only digital radio station located in Birmingham, Alabama. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok as well as Facebook. And of course, I'm Oz. You can find me on practically all social medias: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So we appreciate you being on. So this is Hump Day. I hope everybody had a good day. Is having a good day. It's kind of windy and it looks like it's going to rain up here today up in Birmingham. So be safe out there. If you have not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe to us. We would deeply appreciate it, as well as we have an app. So download our app so that way you'll be able to take us everywhere you are. And we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping in. We got a lot of stuff going on, not only in the nation, but also in the state of Alabama. And it's quite disheartening. It's kind of frightening. It's kind of mind-blowing that you have these attitudes in 2024 that are unfortunately relevant to what was back during the 60s and 50s. And you have certain individuals that would want to put us back in the 50s and 60s mentality. So, but again, if you have not done so, please mark on your calendars the 9th of November, 2024, the second Southern Bully Showdown, sponsored by 1888 Kennel. It's open to all. If you are a vendor, if you wish to sponsor, if you wish to donate, if you wish to participate, vendors, food trucks, get in touch with DeWine Hall, 205-460-6435, 205-460-6435. This is a way of connecting, networking, getting together, understanding exactly what the Bully Nation is all about. There's a lot of bad publicity and bad opinions out there when it comes to the bully breed. I didn't know that the French bulldog in the Cane Corso was part of the breed. So this is a way of you the public getting a better understanding and a better what you call it view of what the bully breed is all about. So please, November 9th at the Bessemer Civic Center, get in touch with DeJuan Hall, 205-460-6435. We will appreciate you. We appreciate you tremendously. So it is really mind-blowing and somewhat disconcerting that you have individuals who wish to push their agenda, their religion down somebody's throat. It is disheartening. It is disappointing. It is disgusting that you have individuals of religious organizations, and I use that term loosely, religious, wishing to push their beliefs down individuals' throats. It is also somewhat humorous and comical that you have individuals that would have the audacity to say, well, my constitutional rights are, I don't understand how you can say your constitutional rights, because for one, you don't know what your constitutional rights are, because for one, you probably have never read the Constitution. And as I stated before, this is the Alabama and the federal Constitution. Now, this is sort of like a artifact, and so you can't get this like this anymore. But I use this as an example, as a demonstration. This piece right here, that little piece right there, is the federal Constitution, United States Constitution. That right there. So you can read that in one reading. One reading, that's our Constitution. Now, this is the Alabama Constitution. So do you see, can you distinguish between the two? This is a federal Constitution. This is the Alabama Constitution. The largest Constitution, the longest Constitution out of the states. You see that? Federal Constitution, Alabama Constitution. Now you can still get this, or you can get the Alabama Constitution off the website, but you're going to have to print it. But this is a so like a history. So yeah, I guess you could say treasure, because see, you can't find this no more. You can't find that no more. So so for individuals say that it's my constitutional rights, you don't even know what the hell your constitutional rights are, because 9 times out of 10 you haven't read the Constitution. For one, you probably didn't even pay attention when you were having government classes. 3, you have been out of school for so long, you have probably forgotten what the Constitution says. Now, the only reason why I can remember so much is because I taught government. I taught AP government and economics. So that's one reason why it still filters through my mind. So for these individuals to come up and make these irrational, delusional statements, it baffles me. If Alabama is supposed to be so quote unquote religious, well then why do you have children that are still hungry? Why would you have a government, a state government, that would put emphasis over an embryo, over it's just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. And so I didn't even want to touch upon it. I really didn't, because there's 2 things you generally don't talk about. You don't talk about religion, and you don't talk about politics, those 2 things. But here in Alabama, we don't seem to understand that there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. That was that when the question of having a constitution was developing, you had two groups to in the Constitutional Convention to come up. You had the Federalist and you had the Anti-Federalist. Now, 9 times out of 10, most of you have never even read these things. You never read them. You never read them. So there was a reason for there to be a separation of church and state. And the founding fathers understood the significance and the importance of separating the church and the state. They had already come from, the individuals who arrived came from religious persecution because there was no separation of church and state. That's one reason why the Pilgrims and the Puritans and the Quakers, and that's why they came here, to get away from religious persecution. So the founding fathers understood the importance of having a separation of church and state. There's a reason for that. So, you know, there is a, I wish I had downloaded it. There is a thing on Instagram, that's on Facebook. See if I can pull it up. That was saying that, where are my glasses? Ooh, yes, Lord. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. So, see, there's a reason for there to be a separation of church and state. There was a reason for it. The founders wrote the Constitution, not the apostles. They added the Bill of Rights, not the 10 Commandments. The intent was freedom of religion. It was not controlled by religion. They created a democracy, not a theocracy. Christianity is not a political party. Let me read that again, because some of you are delusional. Some of you do not have, from what I understand, and understand I have over 25 plus years of teaching. Some of you, from what I have witnessed, do not have the cognitive understanding, nor do you have the cognitive development to understand exactly what the hell you're talking about, because 9 times out of 10, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't. So the founders wrote the Constitution, not the apostles. They added the Bill of Rights, not the 10 Commandments. Their intent was freedom of religion. It was not controlled by religion. They created a democracy, not a theocracy. Christianity is not a political party. It's not. It is not. Some of you don't even understand the difference between communism, dictatorship. And then, you know, for those who are so delusional and so stupid in wanting to support this orange tangerine idiot, I don't have any cognitive development, because I don't understand how an individual who has been impeached twice, maybe 3 times, who has been brought up on charges, who is totally unchristian-like, that you can support him. He already has cases that has been ruled against him. He claims to be such this great businessman, but yet you have evidence that have proven that he is not a good businessman. He's a clown. But yet you have these individuals who put their stock in him, who believe in everything that he does. I really think that most of you should get some type of counseling, or you should get some type of counseling to check to see if your mindset is totally correct, because you're totally delusional. Totally delusional. I do not understand. And if someone could please educate me on how you can put your trust in your belief and all this energy behind this criminal, I would appreciate it. Now let me step back and let me make this statement. The two political parties that we have here, one is no better than the other. Both of them are crooked. They're both crooked. They're like twins, which is the lesser of the twins. So, we're really messed up this election because you have one WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant man over 50, who is senile, who is sickly. And then you have this other WASP, Anglo-Saxon man over 50, who is mentally unstable. So which one is the lesser of the evils? The one who wants to be a dictator, and then some of the followers of this idiot had the audacity to say that, well, we want him to be a dictator. Do you actually understand what a dictatorship is? I would wager you do not. Some of you were saying that, well, it's all right for him to back Putin. Do you understand exactly what the history of Putin, the history of Russia? I doubt very seriously, because you really don't care, because you don't have that cognitive development. You don't have that understanding. You don't have that education. So you can't really make rational decisions, because you don't have the foundation. And it is so much easier to research, to find information, because of phones. Let me show you how easy it is. Serious. What is a dictatorship? See?
Here's some information.
A dictator. See, look at this. Look at this. Pulled it up. Pulled it up. Pulled it up. Pulled it up. A dictator is a political leader who possesses absolute power. A dictatorship is a state ruled by one dictator or by a small clique. Very easy. Very easy. Alexa, I'm serious. Can you give me some examples of a dictator?
Okay, I found this on the web for Alexa. Siri, can you give me some examples of a dictator? Check it out.
And see, it pulls up 18 dictatorship examples. What's a dictatorship?
Okay, a dictatorship is.
So I mean, so you can't say, because it's here. It's here. So it's easy to find the information. But see, you are in a what do you call it? A cult. You're in a cult. You are in a cult. Anyone who backs Trump is in a cult, because from your standpoint, from what I have read, from what I have witnessed, from what I have viewed, anything he says, you base it. And then for you to have, and for some of you to have the audacity to say he was sent by God, you have some mental illness about you. And then two, if you not, for anyone who is a lower middle class or even an upper middle class, if you still rely on Social Security, if you still rely on insurance, if you are still making mortgage payments and paying bills and all, well, then why would you put your trust in someone who has no trust and does not have your interest at heart? So you're voting against your own interest. And then why would you put your support behind a party that is anti-everything? Because you don't even know the voting records of the individuals that are in Congress. Because the Republican Party are the ones that have voted not to increase Medicaid. And see, here in Alabama, you would rather put focus on on an embryo, but yet you won't give food, but you will not allow food for the children during the summer food program. So make it make sense to me, please. Make it make sense to me. Now, my personal belief, life begins once that sperm has entered that egg, but it is not my right to dictate what a woman does with her body. That is between her, her God, and her doctor. And if she feels that she would rather have an abortion for whatever reason, that's none of your business. And then for some of you to be so anti-abortion and all that, you don't get me started, because I will bring you out and let everybody know you are against abortion, but yet how many abortions have you had? How many abortions have you had? How many abortions have you had performed on you? Now, I can understand one, but when you have had more than one, make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. Now, I understand that you can be an example because you've lived through that experience, but that is your experience. But what if an individual was raped? What about incest? What about if you know automatically, because of the scientific research or the scientific way that we have now, that when that baby or when that embryo, there's something wrong with the embryo and the baby's dead, do you expect a woman to carry a dead body inside her? Do you understand the emotional imbalance that you're making that woman go through? So see, it's not your business, nor is it your right to dictate what somebody does with their body. It was your right and it was your decision to have those abortions or abortion. And then you have the audacity to say that no one should have it. But you've already had one. You've had multiple ones. You've had four abortions. Four abortions. Four. Not one, but four. Make it make sense to me. So now we have elections coming up. And you have these individuals that are running for judiciary positions, which is really frightening, because anytime I see someone who is running for a judge or judiciary position and they say they're supported by Trump, I cringe. I totally cringe. And then especially here in Alabama, for you to have someone on the Supreme Court to say that all Republicans should trust you. Well, hell, what about the Democrats? What about the independents? You're going to rule by faith. Your faith should not even come into play when it comes to when you base your opinions. And if you cannot separate your religious conviction from the law, well, then you shouldn't be a judge. And for you to use propaganda to gander the votes and all, well, then you're a liar. And why would I want someone who lies to be on the court? And then for you to say that that you served in the military and you've done all these overseas, and yet you're supported by Trump, I'm really scared. I'm really scared. So, if you have not read and if you do not know about these two groups and all, you need to find out what they are. You need to find out what it is. And plus two, and I mean, these are just examples. And this will give you an explanation. This will give you an explanation of what each one of the articles are. Federalist Paper 39, Federalist Paper 16. It gives you an understanding. Because see, some of you have a misconception of what the founding fathers was trying to do, what their purpose was. Because see, you think that the founding fathers wanted this, but you don't even know what the founding fathers wanted because you haven't read Federalist Papers 47, 48, 51, James Madison. You probably don't even know who were the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. So get out of here. The Federalist Papers were a brilliant and comprehensive analysis of the politics and theory of the Constitution. James Madison and Alexander Hamilton had no peers when it came to the persuasive explanation of every nook and cranny of the Constitution. As was customary at that time, Madison and Hamilton signed the Federalist Papers with the nom de plumitus. Between 1878 and May of 1788, they produced 85 papers. John Jay authored a few of the Federalist Papers, but dropped out of the endeavors early due to illness, almost all of which appeared in New York papers. Opponents of the new Constitution, which were called the Anti-Federalists, also wrote a series of essays that various newspapers around the country published. They expressed their concerns in the ratifying conventions and other venues as well. And in contrast with the Federalists and the Nationalists, the Anti-Federalists had no unified direction, theme, or plan. Plunibus authored the Federalist, but a wide range of Anti-Federalists from Brutus to Country Boy, Cato, Publicus, and Old Whig. The Anti-Federalist criticisms were disjointed and often employed shrill adjectives that also can be used to describe the Anti-Federalist forces. Both Federalists and Anti-Federalists recognized the importance of constitutional texts. They knew that once ratified, the Constitution would dictate the balance. Would balance. Let me read that again, because see, some of you, when I retired in 2013. I was tired. I enjoyed teaching, but I was tired. I was ready to be able to sit back. I was ready to have the ability to go out in my yard and work in my yard and play in my yard. I wanted the responsibility of nothingness. I didn't want the responsibility of anything. I wanted to be able to get up and wake and bake. I wanted to get up and be able to smoke me some marijuana and drink me some coffee. I wanted the ability that if I wanted to stay in bed and jack my dick, I could do that. I didn't want to teach no more. I didn't want the responsibility of trying to get the information out so that way individuals are well informed. But when you don't play with God, you don't play with God. And I was raised in the church. I had a grandmother who Evelyn didn't play. Evelyn didn't play when it came to church. You had to go to church. You had no other. You didn't have a choice in the matter. You didn't have a choice. You went to church. See, when I was raised, I was raised to know your place, stay in your place, appreciate your place. I was raised. All of us were raised. Most of us was raised like that. Know your place. Know your place. Know what your place. Know what your role in the family was. You know your place. You stay in your place. You appreciate your place. My place was to listen to the elders. My place was to do what the elders told me to do. My place was to make sure that I went to school and made good grades. Because see, too, back then, back during the dark ages, we were raised with responsibilities. We were raised with responsibilities, goals. We were raised with that. We knew about our obligation. We knew about our responsibilities because we had obligations. We had obligations to the family. We had obligations to make sure that we were doing whatever we were supposed to do. That's how we were raised. So see, when I retired in 2013, I didn't want the responsibility of having to go back to these books. I really didn't. But you don't play with God, because God introduced individuals into my life. So that way I'm here now. This is not me. Having a show is not me. It really isn't. This is not me. I would not, this was not even in the equation. I'm not a, I am not a public individual. I'm an introvert. I like being by myself. So God saw a different purpose for me, and I had to do whatever He dictated for me to do. When He opened the door, I had to go through the door, and I had to do the best that I could with that door being open. So He's not through with me yet. And so it is what it is. So see, so here I am, still teaching government, because I want individuals vote your conscience. But at the time, when you vote your conscience, when you vote your conviction, but at the same time, have some type of substance, some type of foundation that will allow you to make the right decision for you. If I cannot imagine what it's like to have children, to be parents now, and of the stress and the pressure from that, especially from what is happening now. So if you are working, and you are doing, and you're making ends meet, well then, someone who, a billionaire or millionaire, does not care anything about, and it's very few. Warren Buffett is one of the few individuals that actually have everybody as a whole in mind. But the majority, 98% of those 1%, do not care anything about us. Do not, they don't care. They don't care. As long as they can use us as slaves, as long as they can use us as puppets, that's it. That's all they see. You have to pay attention to what is going on. You have to pay attention. What is the strings? What are the real reasons why this individual is doing what he's doing? So see, I didn't even want to do. But anyway, so both Federalists and anti-Federalists recognize the importance of constitutional texts. They knew that once ratified, the Constitution would dictate the balance of political power between the national government and the states. State rights. So see, even back then, even back during the 1700s, there was a question about states' rights. How much power should we give to the federal government? How much power should the states' rights have? Where do they divide? Where does the federal government trump the state rights? But see, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists knew the importance of the balance of political power between the national government and the states. 18th century Americans believed that government should be one of law, not men. Let me read that again. 18th century Americans believed that government should be one of men, not men, of law, not men. They were the first nation in belief. They were the first nation in history to adopt a written constitution and to accept it as supreme law of the land. The debates between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists started with the text of the Constitution and proceeded to how the text would be interpreted to expand or limit national and state powers. One particularly important part of the text of Article 1 is a necessary, improper, or implied power clause. It states that Congress shall have the power to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing, which is the enumerated powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution. In the government of the United States or in any department or office thereof, the Anti-Federalists view this clause as a grant of absolute power to the national government over the states. See, that is why it's so important that you understand. You understand Now, see, this right here would give you is pretty much a foundation of exactly explaining exactly what the papers of the Federalists and Anti-Federalists are. For those of you who really want to be educated, for those of you who wish to be well balanced and informed. But I would wager 98% of you don't really give a happy goddamn about being educated and well informed, because you wish to push your religious beliefs on everybody else when, you know, and technically you have a history of being unchristian. You want to put bans on books and all. What right do you have, especially when it comes to public education? Public education is a reflection, is a mirror of society. Now, if you are blessed and you are able to send your child to a private school or to parochial school, that's cool. But it is not cool and it's not right and it's not proper for you to use taxpayers' dollars to do that. Not because, see, you have a Republican Party who do not wish to have an educated constituency. They don't want voters to be able to ration out and to think for themselves. Because 9 times out of 10, when you are educated and when you can rationalize and you have foundation to whatever you believe, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to vote for the Republican Party. Because 98% of them are liars. Look at the commercials. You have Outer Holt, who has the audacity. And let me back up. I know Outer Holt. My grandmother dated his granddaddy, the judge. So I know Outer Holt. I don't know of him. I know Outer Holt. So, you know, for this individual to have the audacity to say that Biden is transporting illegal immigrants, you're lying. Biden has nothing to do with transferring. You have the mayor, you have the governors in Texas and Florida that are lying, that are kidnapping. And then for individuals to call the illegal immigrants aliens, that in itself tells me exactly what type of mindset you have. Now, if they're illegal aliens, where do they come from? What planet do they come from? What planet do they come from? And then for you to have the audacity to say, well, I don't vote because what is it? I don't vote because it don't matter. How do you know it doesn't matter? Because your ass has never voted. You never voted. We are in the United States is in what I call the teenage phase, because see, Europe has already experienced all this turmoil. The United States, Europe has already gone through these trials and tribulations and all. So now you have the United States, which has not been around as long as Europe has. So now we're going through this teenage stage of life to where we know that changes are required and are necessary. But how do you bring about those changes? What is correct and what is proper? COVID knocked the wind out of us. And see, that's another example. Why would you put your trust and your belief in a fool that because of his inadequacy, because of his ineffectiveness, because of him not doing nothing, we are in the predicament that we're in? We are still living under COVID. We are going to be with COVID. COVID is going to be with us. And I'm 64 years old, and I would wager that because of what was not done initially and correctly, you're looking pretty much at 15 to 20 years of trying to correct what COVID has done to us. 20 years, which means I'll be 84 years old, which means that if you are 30, you'll be 50 years old. And then if you have children and they're like 12 or 13, they're going to be 30 something years old. So see, we have to, what are you leaving for the next generation? What are you doing for the next generation? Because see, my generation's tired. We tired. We're tired. But you put your trust in these individuals who have nothing for you. They're anti. They say they're pro-life. They're pro-family. They're pro-vets. They're pro. They're not pro. Their voting records show they're not pro. They're here to destroy democracy. They want to do away with Social Security. They want to do away with Medicaid, Medicare. They want to do away with all social programs. And for those of you who are not close to retirement, they have raised Social Security to where you can't get it until you're 70. But yet, they have made it possible that once they have served 3 terms in Congress or 3 years or whatever, they get theirs. They have not voted for the veterans, but yet you have all these veterans who support the Republican Party. You're fools. You're idiots. You can get mad with me as all you want to. Don't even care. Because you're voting against your welfare. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention, especially now. You have individuals who wish to be on courts that can totally destroy you. You're pro-life, but yet you're not taking care of the children that are here now. You're pro-veterans, but what have you done for the veterans? There is no especially here in Alabama. Do you not know that there are over 1,200 churches in Alabama? 1,200. Over 1,200 churches, over 1,200 religious institutions in Alabama. Why are we in the predicament that we're in if we're so Christian? Why? If we're such a religious state, if we're such religious, if we are in the Bible Belt, then why are we in the predicament that we're in? Why is there hunger? Why aren't the seniors taken care of? The elders taken care of? Why aren't the old people taken care of? Why aren't the children taken care of? How come we don't have those social services that are required to make sure that our life is at the best that it can be? If we're so religious, and if we have over 1,200 churches, 12,000, 12,000, 1,200, 12,000. 12,000 churches in Alabama. So I don't understand. Make it make sense to me, please. Please make it make sense. Please. We are going to have the same election that we had. You're going to have Biden against Trump. And it's frightening. I won't be surprised if Trump was elected. Now, whether or not he'll be able to serve or not, that's a different question. But for those of you who vote for Trump, for those of you who support Trump, you deserve everything you get. And I have no mercy for you. I have no mercy for you. You deserve everything you rightfully get if you vote for Trump. And especially if you're not close to retirement age, you're going to suffer it worse than anybody else. I'm on my way out. I'm already Social Security, teacher's retirement, because I was raised by a grandmother that was raised during the Depression. I know how to make ends meet. The younger folks, you don't know how to make ends meet. And then for some of you to say that, well, I'm going to move to Canada. Okay, move your ass to Canada. But have you researched exactly what that actually means? What is the process? What is the procedure to moving to another country? What are the requirements for you to become a citizen of that country? Because there are requirements. And some countries, you have to pay some financial dues. And you have to meet requirements. And if you can't make it here, hell, you can't make it nowhere else. Because you can't follow the rules and regulations here. How are you going to follow them where else? Not in you. So do whatever you feel is best for you. You have that family that moved to Russia that was Christian. And now they're catching hell in Russia. They deserve everything rightfully get. And I hope the United States won't allow them to come back. And I hope they're not able to come back. And I know that sounds terrible. Don't even care. Don't care. Do not care. You have the audacity to say that you don't think that Nikki Haley should be running for president because she's a woman. You stupid. For any woman to be a Republican, for any woman to not support the belief that a woman can run, there's something really delusionally and mentally unstable about you. Why can't a woman run for president? If she meets the qualifications? If she meets the qualifications, why can't she? So, but if you are a woman, if you are a minority, and you support the Republican Party, there's something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. You know, when you have a party that makes it hard for individuals to vote, that tells you right there. When you have a party that does not want universal health care, there's something wrong with you. That is a right. That is a right. That is a right. Okay, so I got an education, so I have a pension or retirement. So but what about those who don't have that? Who don't have that accessibility to have or to be able to afford health care? That's their right. You got to start paying attention. You got to start paying attention about who are you electing to these positions that are going to make decisions for you. Because you're going to have to put up with them for the duration. You're going to have to. And then you're going to have to pay attention to those individuals who can nominate and who can put individuals into positions for lifelong. And what is a conservative Christian? What the fuck is that? What is a conservative? I hate the word, and that scares me. I'm a conservative Christian. What the fuck does that mean? And what the hell does Alabama values mean? What does that mean, Alabama values? Because their definition of an Alabama value is definitely not mine. It's not mine. And you can't get any more Alabamian than me. Can't get any more. Born and raised here. My ancestors were born and raised here. On my daddy's side, they traveled down from Virginia. They migrated to Brewster, Alabama. They were teachers and preachers. down there around Teddy. So when you look at me, you look at my daddy, you look at his daddy, my granddaddy, you look at my great granddaddy. So you're looking pretty much at a 5th or 6th generation Alabamian. You can't get any more Alabamian than me. So please tell me what Alabama values are. I was raised by a grandmother who went to church. I was raised by elders who knew the difference between right and wrong. I was raised by individuals who were actually Christians. So tell me what Alabama values are, because they do not fit my definition. Do not fit. And some of you really need to do some soul searching, because you're not a Christian. You don't know what a Christian is all about. For you to want to thrust your beliefs down my throat, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to allow you. You have no right, and I'm not giving you permission to dictate what I do and what I say, and how I believe. And it's not your right to dictate what an individual does with their body. That's not your right. Now, what you want to do with your body, you do it. But it's not your right to tell somebody else what to do with theirs. And you need to get off of your pedestal, because when you're going on your 4th and 5th marriage and you've had these 4 and 5 abortions now, you technically cannot dictate what somebody else has. And this is totally wrong, and I apologize. Technically, your opinion don't matter about shit. It is what it is. But I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired about this propaganda. And then, we should have learned from Ireland with the Protestants and the Catholics, the religious confliction between them. We should learn from our history of religious persecution. And then once we left and came over here because of religious persecution, we had the audacity to start religious persecution all over again. Where do you think the 13 colonies came from? You had the Puritans, you had the Pilgrims, you had the Quakers. And because of those beliefs, individuals had to leave. Where do you think Rhode Island came from? Where do you think that Maryland came from? Where do you think that Pennsylvania came from? Why do you think that they were created? And if you really look back in history and all, you find out that 9 times out of 10, most religious groups were persecuted. People didn't like the Baptists. People didn't like the Mormons. People didn't like the Jews. We are a pompous, arrogant, condescending, entitled country. Some of us does not have any type of Jesus in us, because Jesus would not have acted, nor would have done what you're doing. And then you had the audacity to say we don't have prayer in school anymore. Prayer was never taken out of school, idiots. It was never taken out of school. There's a time and place for everything. While I'm lecturing or while I'm in my classroom, your ass better not be praying out loud. Now, if you want to pray to yourself, that's good. You can pray to yourself. And like I told my students, some of you are probably praying, please make this old man sit down. And then if you really wish to go by the Bible, there's a place in the Bible that says that you're supposed to go to an isolated place. An isolated place. Similar to a closet. You go into a closet and you pray. But see, you don't even know what the Bible says. You don't 9 times out of 10, you don't even know what the doctrine of your religion is, because the only reason why you were Baptist, the only reason why you were Methodist is because you were raised there. You don't understand what being a Baptist is all about. You don't even understand what the history of the Baptist or the Methodist or the Pentecost. You don't know the history. You got to pay attention. You got to start paying attention. You got to listen to the wording of what is being said. You have what is it, Twinkle Kavanaugh, who has the audacity to say that she's a Christian. How are you a Christian when you are allowing all the utility rates to go up? We have we paid the most when it comes to utilities in Alabama. Look it up, because of Twinkle. We have Adderholt, who's an idiot, who's never had a job, only been in Congress. I think he graduated from the University of Alabama, was elected. And the only reason why he was elected was because of his granddaddy, the judge, because everybody knows the Adderholts. Lying. Then you have Palmer up there. Have even the Trump supporting him. Anyone that Trump supports, you should not vote for. Anyone who claims to be a Trump supporter, you shouldn't vote for. And anybody who votes for Trump, there's something wrong with your ass. You should have some type of mental re-examination or examination. Because you're voting. No. The Bible Belt. We're living in the Bible Belt. But yet you still have people living in poverty. Because see, here in Alabama, we're not only living in the Bible Belt, but you have the Black Belt. And in the Black Belt, you have individuals who still do not have indoor plumbing. But yet we're a Christian state. We're Christians. You're scared about gambling and what is it, the lotto. But where else are you going to get the money? And it's not your right to dictate. Why would a minority dictate what a majority wants? Because you want that control. You want the control. There's no reason for Alabama to be in the predicament that it's in. Do you not understand? And most of you have never had Alabama history, and some of you, if you like me, what is that? I think I was graduated in '78. So what is that? 40 years. So those of us who've been out of school over 40 years probably have gotten Alabama history. But let me give you a little tidbit of it. Alabama is the only state in the union that can be isolated and be self-sufficient. We have everything in Alabama that can provide for us. Everything. We have land, we have water, we have climate. We have everything that we can be self-sufficient. Everything. There's no reason for Alabama to be in the predicament that it's in. No reason. No reason. You have greed, you have corruption. Now, you have, what is it? Here in Birmingham, if we had the right type of government, the right type of individuals in the right positions, doing what they're supposed to, we could have a monorail system running from here to Atlanta. And then there are investors who want to expand that, to extend it, to run from Birmingham all the way to Texas. Now, that's part of all those counties in which that rail system runs through will have the means, the money, the revenue. Because all you have to do is get in touch with the commissions, the county commissions, and then have an understanding that this is what the revenue will be generated. And then get in touch with the governor, then get in touch with the representatives in Montgomery, then get in touch with those individuals up in Washington to see if there are grants, federal grants, in which to do this monorail system. Then you could have the Port of Birmingham. And I don't care, you can call it the Port of Alabama, a port or whatever, but it wouldn't be in competition with the Port of Mobile. But you could use that port that's built on the Tom Bigby waterway, because all you would have to do is get the Army Corps of Engineers to come in to dredge it, to make it wider, to make it deeper, so that way it would be able to support those ships. And that in itself would be revenue for the entire state of Alabama. Do you not understand the jobs that could be created, that would be created if you had that port? Do you not understand the revenue and the jobs that would be created if you had the monorail system? And then here in Alabama, we have a sports plex. If they would maintain, if they would improve it and build dormitories and improve the pool, you could have coaches from all over the world to come, because you would have a facility that can be utilized throughout the year for them to practice. There's no reason for us to be in the predicament. There's no reason for newer taxes or anything. Why are dealers that have these dealer tags, why are they not being charged correctly? See, there are taxes that are inadequate, that are not equal. There's no reason for us to be in the predicament that we're in. Not Alabama. Now, we're better than most Republican states. You know, Granny, what is her name? KK, God love her, and I use that loosely. She's not as bad as the rest of the female Republican governors, nor are the Republican governors. But we're getting there. And you got to start paying attention. You got to start paying attention. So, what you're going to do? What you're going to do? But understand that the way that you vote is going to dictate how you're going to live for the rest of your life. And you got to start being selfish and start looking after your children. What are you leaving your children? Because the way that I see it, you're not leaving them with shit. And if you're a Christian, whatever that word means to you, you need to start acting like Christians. And you need to start going back to the Bible. Because I'll take that back, because some of you claim to have read the Bible and you could not even interpret. No, oh, don't get me started on that. That's another different subject. Pay attention. Pay attention. I appreciate y'all. If I upset some of you, don't care. That means I did something good, because if I upset you, that means that you listened. If some of you want to delete, block me, I don't care. Don't care. Wouldn't miss you. Sure wouldn't. Sure wouldn't. And I'm sincere. I'm blatantly honest on that. Would not miss you a bit. It'd probably be my favor for you to block. And if you never spoke to me again, get over it too. But know your value, know your worth, know that you are the one that controls everything about you. Know your value, know your worth. And most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. I will see y'all Thursday, tomorrow, Friday's Eve. Y'all take care. Appreciate you.